teen
So
pregnancy is a new problem.
Yes.
In the sense that it's only recently that we decided that it is a problem. So to all of a sudden act like this phenomenon of girls getting pregnant at a young age that we consider young, 16 or 17, to act like it's a new thing is ridiculous. It's always been that way.
Saying or using it as a justification that human beings have done things for tens of thousands of years, in that it should continue to be, is ludicrous, because we've done a lot of really things we shouldn't continue to do. Women, basically, being impregnated because they were sold off as property, because the exchange of marriage was, of course, treating women as a commodity, and yes, they would be impregnated at very young ages. They would also die at very young ages. It's not a bad thing if we come together collectively as a society and decide that maybe women shouldn't be breeding pods for the utility of men. If you've been following the story for the last little while, Matt Walsh has been doing a campaign where he says that he is going to be fighting gender ideology to his dying breath, and part of that campaign is exposing children's hospitals and making sure that everyone knows that they are performing operations on children that they are not. In fact, they are not doing hysterectomies on patients under 18, but they're going to lie about that. They've got some really damning evidence. He teamed up with Libs of TikTok to reveal to the world that a receptionist at one of these hospitals, in fact, may have misspoke. And that was enough for them to be like, you see, we have damning evidence. There it is. Okay, so now we are going to just say, go forth and do what you can. And then there's a bomb threat. And then there's another bomb threat. And then someone is arrested by the FBI for, again, trying to threaten the children's hospital. And then all the doctors start getting death threats. And then doctors are scared to come in. And now it's just disrupting normal business at a children's hospital. They're basically coming after the kids. Matt Walsh has said a number of times he's not doing what he's doing because he's trying to promote terrorism. He's not doing what he's doing because he is obsessed with trans kids' genitals, which is what my argument would be. He's doing what he's doing because he cares deeply about protecting children, and that's the most important thing. He wants to make sure that children are kept away from groomers, specifically LGBTQ plus groomers who are trying to groom them into a lifestyle that they're not prepared for, and he's willing to do whatever means necessary. But he's not willing to use violence or stuff like that. He's just, you know, I'm just putting the names and the addresses and the phone numbers and the locations of all these different people and individuals and doctors and nurses and hospitals. I'm just doing all of that because I care deeply about the kids, and that's basically why I am starting this. So now a whole bunch of stuff is getting leaked. Here's an old video. How'd the Nazis do this? Matt Walsh, whose Twitter bio says he's a theocratic fascist, burning a book on camera.
You just don't judge us for this.
How'd the Nazis do this?
You wait until we learn how to use fire. We're gonna burn our damn fingers off.
Oh, there we go.
Woo! There's you some taxation.
Oh, nice.
You just don't judge.
Racism mixed in there as well. All good stuff. It's kind of funny, though, at the end of the day. It's like, how did the Nazis do this? We're more inept than the Nazis. But you're wondering where this old footage is coming from, right? So, Media Matters found a treasure trove of old stuff on Matt Walsh. From early 2010 to August 1st, 2011, Matt Walsh co-hosted a radio show called The Matt and Crank Program with Andrew Crank Murr at WZBH, The Beach, 93.5, based in Georgetown, Delaware. The show featured all of the worst of Walsh's bluster and bigotry, without the production value given to his current work as the host of The Daily Wire, where he was hired in August 2017. Recently, Walsh has been helping lead a crusade against children's hospitals providing gender-affirming care. On August 15th, Walsh made the false incendiary claim that these hospitals are butchering, mutilating, and sterilizing their young patients. The hospital, highlighted by Walsh and others, have been inundated with violent threats that the Daily Wire personally dismissed as a hoax before continuing his campaign. A review of Walsh's commentary and the Matt and Crank program revealed that the pundit has previously praised violent political action, saying that enacting change means that you have to make people hurt. Holding signs and yelling loudly will not make anyone hurt. The current Daily Wire personality and What is a Woman filmmaker also claimed that we probably lost our republic after Reconstruction, and that as the Anglo-Saxons, which were the original Americans, die off, our identity and culture goes with it. So a little bit more strong fashy language than we're probably used to from Matt Walsh. I'm guessing the Daily Wire is probably like, you gotta tone back the Anglo-Saxon superior race kind of stuff, being the original peoples of America, because yeah, it doesn't really play well with any audience outside of neo-Nazis, KKK, that kind of stuff. And he performed racist impressions and defended teenage pregnancy and marriage, saying that about 16, you're an adult who's mature and can make decisions. It just recently, where all of a sudden we're required, we're all united until we're 20. I don't know what word they're censoring here. Rape? Walsh additionally encouraged subordinates to participate in sexually demeaning stunts, coercing an intern into exposing himself and allowing Walsh to shock him with a stun gun in the ace.
Well, our founding fathers had very specific goals in mind that they wanted to accomplish. It wasn't a generalized sense of outrage. It was, these are our goals that we want to accomplish. And by the way, they were willing to back it up with guns and violent force. If you want extreme things to happen, you have to be willing to go to extremes. The civil rights movement, they had specific goals. They boycotted. The people that were oppressing them, they made them hurt. They didn't just hold signs, they made them hurt. So I would say
this is exactly what I imagine Matt Walsh was like, you know, like little college age Matt Walsh, probably just as insufferable, but probably way more violent and extreme with his rhetoric, which is basically what this is.
It's time for extreme measures. I'm not advocating violence, but why are we limiting ourselves? I'm just posing one possibility here. Let's say that next tax day, what if 10 million people didn't file their taxes? What if 10, I know everyone's like, well, you gotta file your taxes. Well, our founding fathers, everyone keeps bringing up our founding fathers. They were willing to pick up guns and kill people for what they wanted. A sign won't do it, and calling your congressman won't do it.
So, what's with the signs? Is there guns behind the signs? Is that the surprise? Do you kick the signs over in some kind of like dramatic fashion? Then right away you're like, now we're ready. Now unleash. On air, Walsh expanded and doubled down on his comments, saying that if you want extreme change, you must take extreme action. You have to make people hurt, and adding that we probably lost our republic after Reconstruction, seemingly criticizing the country's first attempt at a multiracial democracy after the Civil War. Walsh further derided members of the so-called Tea Party movement as not willing to do what the founding fathers did.
But what I was trying to say, if you want extreme change, you must take extreme action. What you have to do is look at the situation and decide what exactly you want to have happen, and then you have to honestly approach it and say, what do we have to do to make this happen? But it is in fact true that you have to make people hurt. And I'm sorry, but holding signs and yelling loudly will not make anyone hurt, and it's not going to get anything changed. Calling your congressman probably makes you feel good about yourself, and I'm very happy for you, but that doesn't really get anything done. And you're not going to change the system by calling a congressman, and you're not going to change the system by voting out a few incumbents, and you're not going to change the system by voting in Republicans. I think we're at the point now where we have to purge the system of all parties, okay? And everyone says, well, it's naive to vote for an independent. All right, well, if that's the attitude you're going to take, that any measure of extreme change is just naive, then what are you doing? What's the point? What is the point of even trying? Most people will admit that we've been on this path not for a year because of Obama, not for 10 years because of Bush, not for 20 years because of Clinton, not Reagan, not Carter. We've been on this path for 100 years or more. We probably lost our republic after Reconstruction. If you want actual change that isn't going to reverse itself in 10 years or 5 years
after
or in 1 year, then you do have to look at extreme action. And I will tell you the extreme action that I am now referring to. What needs to happen, I think, first and foremost, and it starts with taxes, doesn't it? It started that way with the revolutionaries. And by the way, you go to these tea parties, you got people there literally dressed up like it's a costume party, dressed up like our founding fathers, dressed up like Samuel Adams and so forth. They're the ones that keep harkening back to the revolutionary times. You're the ones, Tea Party people, that are comparing yourself in a not subtle way at all to the revolutionaries.
But then you forget what they did to accomplish their goals.
Right. I'm saying, okay, you guys are dressing up like revolutionaries. You're calling this the Tea Party. Don't you understand what they did? Even the Tea Party was an illegal act. It was trespassing and vandalism. Don't you get that? Okay, you don't compare yourself to them because you're not willing to do what they did.
Okay. Ooh, I lost it. I've still got it in the Ghoulery. Yes, there it is. By the way, if you ever want to find the database where we're putting and posting all the receipts to everything that all these individuals are doing or saying to make sure they can't run away from their own words, check out reddit.com/r/theserfstv, where we've got the Serfs Ghoulery, and we're just making a giant old database of everything they say and or do. Of course, the rules are absolutely no doxing. That's not tolerated at all. So here's where things get pretty intense. I'm going to do a content warning if you don't want to hear about someone talking about how women are at their most fertile at the age of 16 and how teenage pregnancy is not a bad thing and a whole bunch of other really creepy ass shit.
In fact, ever since the beginning of time, teenage girls have been getting pregnant.
It's the teenage boyfriend and he just sits around playing Grand Theft Auto on a big screen TV. It's like, I don't know why Davey won't help clean anything or fix the diapers or get a job, but it's hard.
You ever seen those girls? Ugh.
Lots of people are blaming those types of shows for this. And you see these stories every once in a while about some high school where 95% of the school is pregnant or whatever. Even the guys, it's getting really weird. So this is what I want to, and I'll try to not tread lightly. I'm not very good at treading lightly on things, but teen pregnancy is a new problem.
Yes.
In the sense that it's only recently that we decided that it is a problem. Okay? But it is not a new problem in the sense that it's a new phenomenon. It is not. In fact, ever since the beginning of time, teenage girls have been getting pregnant. It used to be more common. The peak, ever since they started keeping records of these things, which they only started doing recently, like in the 20th century, but ever since they started keeping records, in 1957 was the peak for teenage pregnancy. 1957. Not 2009,
Well, back
not
then,
today.
all of them were supposed to have kids. Like, that's when you
hold on.
had kids.
That's my point, okay? So to all of a sudden act like this phenomenon of girls getting pregnant at a young age that we consider young, 16 or 17,
Baby
to
boomers.
act like it's a new thing is ridiculous. It's always been that way. Even biologically, and this is me just stating, right now I'm going to start by just stating facts. So fact number one, it's not a new phenomenon. Fact number two, in fact, it's a phenomenon that was more common earlier in history, and for the first 6,000 to 10,000 years of human existence, it was a normal thing. Fact three, girls between the ages of like 17 and 24 is when they're technically most fertile.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, so let's pause it here for just 2 seconds. Saying or using as a justification that human beings have done things for tens of thousands of years, in that it should continue to be, is ludicrous, because we've done a lot of really fucked up things we shouldn't continue to do. Kind of think we're all agreeing at this point we should probably stop doing slavery, we still kind of do slavery in the form of, unpaid prison labor, but generally speaking, slavery was a bad thing. Can kind of come to terms with that not being all that great. Women basically being impregnated because they were sold off as property, because the exchange of marriage was, of course, treating women as a commodity. And yes, they would be impregnated at very young ages. They would also die at very young ages. It's not a bad thing if we come together collectively as a society and decide that maybe women shouldn't be breeding pods for the utility of men. Maybe men shouldn't use women specifically and only to breed with, create children, and then just roll the dice and hope they make it through that old thing called birth, because there's a lot of women who do die in that process, since, we haven't really caught up, let's just say, medically in terms of treating people who have different biology and biological functions differently within the medical system. So that's also kind of a problem. So, yeah, that's not a justification for anything. Even if you want to do this kind of weird libertarian, like, well, it is when women are at their most fertile, you see, when they turn the tender age of 17, they are prepared for the breeding. This is not a good thing. I think we can all collectively agree now that girls, and we should say girls, because the first figure he uses, he starts with 16, he then moves on to 17 to 24 is when they're most fertile, but he does initially say 16. And 16-year-old girls, it's probably not a good thing that they're getting pregnant. It is an overwhelming amount of responsibility to raise a child. It is a very taxing process on a woman's body to be pregnant and then give birth, and a unwanted pregnancy, because that is what they're talking about. This whole issue surrounding unwanted teenage pregnancies, they start by discussing that MTV show, what is it, like Pregnant at 16 or whatever it used to be back when they used to do a lot of reality TV, questionable reality TV series. That's basically what they're talking about. Matt Walsh's thesis is that shouldn't be seen as a problem. The 16-year-olds giving birth and having to raise kids at the age of 16, when they're a couple years out from graduating from high school, that shouldn't be seen as a problem. What should be seen as a problem is the lack of marriage and husbands. That's because traditionally, through society, we've been doing this for thousands of years. Why did we change? Why did we determine this was a problem now? Like, at what point did we decide together that this is probably not something we should be doing,
That's biological. That's a fact, all right? I'm just stating facts. That's all I'm doing. But what happened recently, and this is the fourth fact, recently in the last 30 years or so, we decided that that's way too young to start a family.
Why?
And because now
Divorce rates would probably go up, and once you're that young, you can't really make sure that
Well,
you know.
No,
that's the
girls are
person
no,
you
no, no,
wanna
no,
stay with.
no, no.
Girls
Because
were getting married early and marriages were lasting longer. You very rarely hear about like these relationships that go to their what is it, your diamond anniversary, your 50th anniversary, and all this. That's a dying breed of people out
yeah,
there.
and those all were all people that got married very young. That's why
That's why they're still alive.
Yeah, that's why you can have someone in their 70s who celebrate.
Again, nonsense, weird. The idea of like diamond marriages is in like, oh yes, they've been together close to 70 years. It's true love, you see. They were married when they were both at the young age of 13 and 14 respectively. What? And like somehow it's like, well, marriage rates have been declining. So the only thing that can really explain that is the fact that we're not impregnating women at incredibly young ages. I mean, I believe once they've shown their first moon's blood, it's when they're prepared to be impregnated. They have become a woman, and that is their new task and lot in life. That's their purpose, really.
Celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary because they got married when they were teenagers. So what I'm saying is that the problem is not per se teenage pregnancy. It's unwed pregnancy. That's the problem in society. It's only problematic when you are not married and you don't have the man there to help you take care of the kids because he's a coward. And
Well, I mean, that's brave. I'm going to say I disagree. I think women, girls, we should say, girls getting pregnant at 15, 16, 17 years old, especially without being in a condition which they are prepared to raise a child, unwanted pregnancies, those are a problem. There are ways to reduce that, and one of the most effective ones is, of course, giving sexual education to teenagers so that they can learn about things like using condoms properly, not spreading STDs as a result of using these kind of things. The problem isn't that there's not enough people marrying these kids. In fact, child marriage in the US is a huge problem, and it disproportionately is older men marrying younger girls, younger children. And that's fucked up, and that's pedophilia, and that's grooming. You know, all the things that Matt Walsh likes to call out. Matt Walsh never calls it out if it happens to be Christians doing it. If it happens to be, well, I mean, it's just a bunch of, dignified gentlemen marrying a bunch of young women who are at the most fertile of their lives, and they're prepared to, be subservient to their men who are going to produce offspring for them, and enjoy the union of God, and hopefully they will be married for as many years as it takes.
the reason why we have that now are for two reasons. Because we have in current society, we live in the age of extended adolescence, where people live at home until they're 26. They go to college, which is when most people regress maturity-wise and become even more ridiculous.
That's a good point.
So we tell people that essentially you're a kid who should not have adult responsibilities until you're about 27. And then maybe when you're in your 30s, you can start having kids. Even though biologically, when you start having kids in your 30s, that's dangerous. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when miscarriages skyrocket. That's when birth defects skyrocket. That biologically is too late to start having a family.
But I think the problem.
Wait, if you had thrown that argument out at like people who are 38 or 39, okay, then yes, it is true that you become it starts to be there are more complications that arise from having pregnancy that later in life. But it's a fucking 27-year-old? Are you serious?
Problem with teenage girls getting
It's
pregnant
too late.
now is they have no
You're too
real
old.
way of
Stay away, Grandma.
sustaining the family. Let's say that the boyfriend stays in the picture. That kid's not going to be able to go out and get a job along with her to make enough money to raise the family.
That's why, but
at that age.
I don't want my words to be misinterpreted, as I know they will, because Matt's saying teenage girls should get pregnant. No. What I'm saying is that unwed teenage girls should not get pregnant.
Right.
Much like an unwed 23-year-old girl probably shouldn't get pregnant either.
So I'm not saying that teenage girls should get pregnant. What I'm saying is that married teenage girls should get pregnant. And boy, howdy. Yeah, I'm saying it real loud. I'm talking about their fertility rates. I'm talking about that this is the perfect time to impregnate them. This is the ideal scenario according to science. So I'm just saying that we should stop worrying about teenage pregnancy and start worrying about unwed teenage pregnancy. That's the problem. So get them married, 15, 16 years old. Get them married. Doesn't matter if the dude's 35. Dudes don't have to worry about this. It's kind of awesome. We don't have to think about the biological clock. We can inseminate anything. And then start the impregnation process. That's what I'm saying. I don't want this taken out of context.
Because she's probably not in a position, considering the fact she's not married, there's not a stable family, to really take care of the kid. But the idea now is that what we say is that every person, every kid, ideally, should go to college and be career-minded.
Right.
Every single person. But that's just not the reality. And there's a lot of girls out there that don't want that, okay? That's not what they want. They want to get married at a young age.
That's totally fine. Totally normal. And if they want to go to college, also totally fine. Totally normal. Just super, super weird if you're trying to justify 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds getting pregnant, especially unwanted pregnancy, because that is what they were talking about, and saying the problem there isn't the pregnancy, isn't the kids getting pregnant. It's the fact that those kids are getting pregnant and they don't have husbands. Because if they had husbands, it's completely awesome. Totally fine.
Settle down and start having a family. And up until about 1950, that was normal. And then we decided that's not okay anymore. But we're working against the tide of not only biology,
Women never used to be
but
able to
human
have
civilization.
A vote.
So the
couldn't
problem
have
is
credit
that,
cards until like the 1970s.
Ideally, you would have 17. Okay,
Men controlled
I
all
would
the
see nothing
finances
wrong
of their
with
family.
society.
You were legally allowed to
what
rape
was
your
happening
wife.
up until about 1950.
Glad we
Where
changed all those
17-year-old girls are
things.
getting married to 17 or 18-year-old guys that are not kids; they're men.
Men.
And
17-year-old men.
I mean, that used to be, and then you also have the other type of person, the other group of people.
They can't drink.
They get educated.
They can't get pornography. You can't even join
used
the
to be
army.
You had educated people that went and did that, and they had educated jobs, and you had other people that were more working class, and they started families at a young age, and you had that, and that's okay.
What was the life expectancy back then?
It wasn't that much different. Well, I mean, you're talking about what, 1957? People getting pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, a lot of them are. Some of those are still alive.
Well, most of them are still alive. But I mean, like, let's say the oldest.
So I mean, the life
57,
expectancy
like,
is
Life
still
expectancy
it's still extending
changes
because
over
even as they get to the latter years of their life, the medical technology is around to keep them alive longer. But you talk about civilization, but I mean, having civilization grow, but in our current civilization, in our world, our Western world, our America, isn't this detrimental to society, them getting pregnant like this? Because I know what you're saying, not everybody's geared for college, but where did they go? At this point, they don't have the resources. I don't feel they have the resources to go out and start this life at such a young age. And not by it's not their fault, it's the American society's fault. We don't allow for people that young to really go out and start a life on their own at 16, 17, 18 years old.
Because they're still in high school.
And that is the way the education.
Wow, that's almost as like the two co-hosts are kind of like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, they're not allowed to go live by themselves. Some cases they can't even get certain kinds of jobs without their parents' permission. Kind of weird to say that it'd be totally okay for them to suddenly raise a life, though. In addition to
system's been put together is that you do have to finish all that stuff to even be looked at for a career where you could actually earn enough money. So I know I agree with you in one respect, but in the actual social aspect I have to disagree with you because these people have nowhere to go, and what happens is they end up getting on welfare and they end up being a drag on everyone else.
Yes, it's not good that these girls in high school are getting pregnant. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying though is that if society was if society was different and that we stopped insisting that you're a kid until you're 25 and we just deal with the reality that at about 16 you're an adult who is mature and can make decisions. You are that at 16. I don't care what anybody says. And if you're going to tell me it's different, well then how come for the first 10,000 years of human civilization that's the way it was? It's just recently
because people died much younger. You know, we didn't even have an idea about what the germ theory of disease was a couple hundred years ago. So, like, it's kind of good. We live longer now. We have more fulfilling lives. We realize that women do not have to be breeding mares, and that cannot be their only purpose in life, that they can actually have more fulfilling lives. That is actually not necessary at all for women or men or non-binary people to have children. It's not a thing that every single person has to do. You can have a fulfilling life and not have kids. You can have a fulfilling life and not get married. It's not a requirement. It's just like we can understand now that there is more to this beautiful existence. There's more diversity to being alive than ever thought possible. It's not just, well, if you turn 16, I mean, you're basically at your prime, sorry. Well, I mean, your premium prime. I'll say that. It's subprimal, bro. It is subprimal. Yeah, Matt Walsh, truly primal. Wants to go after them kids. So he dances around it a lot, but you have to keep in mind that he was saying a lot of fucked up shit. Very, very clear, and sometimes 17-year-old girls, 18-year-old girls that are still in high school, just getting into college, many of them want, biologically and metaphysically, with everything in their body. They want to settle down. They want to start a family. I think it's a good example as to why probably true. The horse behavior of these same-age girls when they get to college. There are some sluts. I was a little bit older than everybody. It was like when you get there, you see these innocent girls, and by the end of the year, it's just these stories you've heard about them. It's like this internal need to breed, and it just comes out at the wrong time because they're all there trying to get an education. But meanwhile, like, Women come. I'm sorry to tell you, Matt. Women like sex. Women enjoy orgasms, just like dudes, you know? It's not all of a sudden because they have this uncontrollable urge to breed that they're having, like, all this sex all of a sudden in college. It's like, oh God, I must have a baby. Yes, time to have sex for the first time. Like, what are you talking about? Like, if you see the world in this light, this is why you're coming out with the weirdest takes. The most fucked up takes. To biology, that's the perfect time. That's when they're, like Matt said, the most fertile. But society has told you that when you're 18, that's when you're an adult, not when you're 16 or 17. Walsh, yeah, that's a problem. You're an adult when you're 16. When you're 16, you're at your most fertile, and that's when you need to be impregnated. If you don't, you will have this craving later in life, this fertility craving. Every woman gets it. They can't control that craving to be impregnated. That's what that feeling is. And then all of a sudden they will act out that feeling. And then men being men, they will just want to have unprotected sex with them. And then all of a sudden they'll find out they're pregnant. And they're like, oh, I just wanted to give birth, and then you did this to me. How could this happen? What a weird way to see the fucking world. Walsh has repeatedly defended sexualization or sexual abusers of children, in the more recent past saying the Catholic Church's sexual abuse scandal, that's the problem, is not pedophilia. The problem is the gay priests, and saying that the response to sexual abuse scandal in the Boy Scouts of America was a, quote, lesson to us all, that surrendering to the left will lead us to be completely obliterated. It doesn't matter if pedos are Catholic or Christian or Muslim or Jewish. Pedos are pedos. Call them out. You should have a universal rule for this. It shouldn't be like some pedos good, some pedos bad. If it happens to boys, it's okay. If it happens to girls, it's bad. If an older woman has sex with a young boy, that's okay. She's a dream maker and it's super sexy and releasing the pressure valve, aka a la Tucker Carlson. No, it should be all pedophilia. Doesn't matter if it's happening to boys or girls, is bad. It's simple, easy rule. Easy rule you can abide by, right? It's not a difficult one. Walsh initially defended Josh Duggar after the reality TV star was accused of sexual abuse of children, minimizing the allegations before later issuing a retraction once it came to light that Duggar had also cheated on his wife as an adult and also was holding quite a bit of child pornography on his computer that he got caught with. The Daily Wire host has also minimized the hashtag #MeToo movement, suggesting that it's a hysterical witch hunt, saying that women who feel violated after casual sex consented to and participated in their own degradation. If #MeToo now includes someone that had a weird conversation with me and it was awkward, then this thing has really become hysterical witch hunt. Matt Walsh's racist worldview. As the Anglo-Saxons, which were the original Americans, die off, our identity and our culture goes with it. That's just straight up white supremacist shit. That's just like 100% white supremacist shit.
According to a demographer, he's a guy that looks at demographics. Yeah. In case anyone wasn't aware. Steve Murdoch is his name. It kind of ties into something we were talking about last week, but he says it's basically over for the Anglo-Saxon race. Our time is pretty much, we're finished. Our days are numbered. Now, he's talking specifically about Texas, but this is also symptomatic of the entire country, and he's looking at information in Texas and extrapolating what will happen in the entirety of the United States. It says 2 out of every 3 Texas children are now Anglo, and the trend line will become even more pronounced in the, let's see, 2 of every 3 Texas children will become even more pronounced in the future, blah, blah, blah. Today's Texas population can be divided into 2 groups.
So this is just 100% white replacement theory. You know, the stuff you see on Stormfront. Stormfront used to have like a white counter on the right side where it was like white population of the U.S. and then showing it like slowly descending and saying like we are being replaced, my brothers and sisters and shit like that. That's this just on the radio.
One is an old and aging Anglo and the other is young and minority. Between 2000 and 2040, the state's public school enrollment will see a 15% decline in Anglo children, while Hispanic children will make up a 213% increase. This is Texas, mind you, but they don't exist in a vacuum down there. They're just if there's kind of like a portal from another universe or something that is letting people through, they're right at ground zero of the portal, so they're going to get everything first. But then we're going to get we're going to eventually get it too. Yeah. So a 213% increase in Hispanic children in the next 40 years. That's insanity. That's actually the next 30 years.
So just 100% white replacement shit. It is because we're all dying off. Yes, that's what the problem is. It's not that. It's not that we're just, as Mexicans come in, we magically meld them with us and become like them. It's not like that. It's like we are dying off just like any other species of animal does. We're dying. And the way that there's two ways that animals die off. Well, three ways. One is a disease, two is deforestation, or they lose habitat, which, okay, look at us. And then the third one is that they stop reproducing. And usually all three of those things kind of happen simultaneously. And that's what's happening with us. The extinction of the Anglo-Saxon race is just like us, as if you are a literal separate animal species than the rest of humanity. Yes, the Anglo-Saxon whites. Amazing. The Western white race is not having kids. They're just not. That's why before, 10 years ago, was like the average family was, whatever, it was like 2.3 kids. Now it's one, something. I mean, we've lost like a whole kid in 10 years. And I mean, you can't just survive when you refuse to have kids. Why does the preservation and survival of this one artificial group matter to you? It's not real. Like, you should care about humanity collectively. When the Mexican people come here, which is fine that they want to come, as long as they come legally, which most of them aren't, but they bring with them, being that they're from a different culture, a different race, and everything else, they bring with them an identity, and they bring it to America. And so, as the Anglo-Saxons, which were the original Americans, die off, our identity and culture goes with it. Now, China and Japan and Korea and Vietnam and Egypt, all those countries for thousands of years have got to keep their identity and their culture. They've been allowed to preserve it, whereas ours is dying off in less than 200 years. Why? Why can't we preserve the genocide of indigenous people, the enslavement of black people? Why can't we preserve that? That was who we were. At other times, Walsh performed a racist impression of black men, including calling Barack Obama Elementary School and pretending to be a father trying to enroll his son in the school. He pretended to have heard that the school was lenient with his grades, saying while posing as a black man that Obama's main principle was that 'cause you ain't put in the work for something don't mean you shouldn't be supplied with it. Yeah, but let me put you on the spot here right quick, because what is y'all honoring about my man Barack Obama? Oh, I gotta hear his racist impression.
Yesterday, I called Barack Obama Elementary School. Wanted to find out if the fact that the school's named after Obama actually translates into the
over under. Gonna be worse than Steven Crowder's. Gonna be more cringe and more racist than Steven Crowder's. And that's a tall fucking bar to pass, you know? To do a fucking worse racist impersonation than Steven Crowder of black people. But I'm gonna guess it's probably worse.
way that they grade into their philosophy and strategy for the grading system.
Right.
And here's what happened.
Okay, cool.
Barack Obama Elementary.
Y'all opened up on Monday.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting for a long time, waiting for like a year or so until there was a school opened up named after my man Barack Obama, you know what I mean? And I wanted to get my son enrolled in y'all's program over there, but I just had a few questions as far as the way that y'all handle the kids and so on with the grading system and whatnot.
Okay, what's your address?
My address is 2020 Smithfield.
What is it?
Smithfield.
Smithfield?
Nah, Smithfield.
Smith?
Smithfield.
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 That's not in our boundary.
That's not within y'all boundary?
No.
Yeah, but I can relocate if that's what comes down.
I think I'm going to place this in that more effort. He's put in more effort than Steven Crowder, because Steven Crowder pretty much just off the cuff just tries to like make his voice deeper and say a whole bunch of slang. But more racist. I would say more racist, but more effort.
Too.
Okay, well then when you do that, you have to bring your proof of residency.
Yeah, no, I can do that. I mean, before I even make decisions like that, I need to know what the school's all about, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean,
What is it that you need to know, sir?
Well, I need to know what y'all, what y'all grading system's all about, first and foremost, because my son that I want to send to y'all, he ain't exactly the top student, you know, in charge, you know what I mean? He ain't really the head dog as far as in his classes and whatnot, yo. He ain't really excelling necessarily. But my thoughts on the matter was, I mean, I know with the way that Obama, you know, I listened to him on a campaign trail and whatnot, and yo had a lot.
Are you living in the area, sir?
I'm sorry?
Do you live in the area?
No, what I'm saying to you is that I could relocate if that's what the situation called for. But first, I just need to know what y'all system is as far as inside the school dealing with the children, you know?
What's the joke? The joke is that he is a black person and he's calling into a school, and his student that he's trying to get into the school has not really achieved a lot in life, and so will he get into the school simply based on the color of his skin and not the content of his character, and that's why it's hilarious, you see. Since this video, Walsh has said that white supremacists don't exist for the most part, and the Great Replacement conspiracy theory is just a fact. Walsh has expressed doubt that racism exists and said, when a white person says that all white people are inherently racist, all he's really done is confess to being personally racist. Walsh has attacked... Who says that? Like, they've got this strange strawman where it's like, only white people are racist, specifically racist babies. CRT has taught us this. It's taught us that time is racist and white babies are racist. And it's like, most likely, because we all grow up in a society, we're all kind of programmed with systemic and structural racism. That's kind of what happens to all of us. You gotta recognize it first and then realize how much of that plays into your own perceptions of everything. That's the thing. It's not unique to just white people, even in a white supremacist system, you know? The racist trees, that too. Matt Walsh's sexually demeaning workplace stunts. I think we should shock you in the ass. At the Matt and Crank program, Walsh appears to have sexually harassed someone, at least posing as his employee, named only Intern A on camera, demanding that his subordinate remove his pants and allow Walsh to use a taser on his exposed butt, despite multiple protestations. I can't really play this one. I would never suggest that a man expose his buttocks to me, says Walsh. Well, here's a serious suggestion. Why don't we seriously shock you in the ass? Got a lot of padding in there, a lot of muscle. A lot of muscle in that ass, boy. Intern A, you don't want me to pull it out. Another co-host. Yeah, I don't either. I really don't. I think we should just go. Walsh, hear me out. For the comedy of it. And also because it will hurt the least. I think we should shock you in the ass, at least first. Intern. I think we should shock you. No, I don't like that idea. What I do like is shocking you in the ass. So get over here. Intern, you're not shocking my butt. Mer, do I want you to put the old hard hat on? There we go. Does it look like amazing now? Walsh, I'll shock you in the stomach, all right? I'll shock you in the stomach. Are you ready for this? Intern, no, I am not ready for this. Mer, I'm ready. Intern, this is not cool. Mer, I'm totally ready for this. Walsh, this is cool. Mer, Matt, are you ready? Walsh, I'm totally ready. Mer, I'm totally ready. Walsh, as long as we're all ready, that's all that matters. Mer, that's all that matters. Walsh, should I press it? Hold on a sec. Intern, whoa, oh no. Walsh, hold up. I'm not hitting it yet. I'm not hitting it. But should I put it up against him like this? And then do it? Is that how you would do it? Intern, oh my god, I thought we were friends. Crank, we are. That's why we're doing it. Walsh, this is for your own good. This is for your own good, intern. Intern, I love you so much. I'm hurting you. This hurts you more than it hurts me, says Walsh. Mer, yes it does. Oh god, I'm tingly with anticipation. Walsh, 1, 2, 3, go! Intern, ow! Did it shock you too? Walsh, I only got like half a second. Intern, that's all you're supposed to get. Let's try it one more time. Intern, that hurts. You want me to hold it to you while you do it? That hurts. Do you want me to hold on to you while I do it? Let me try one more time. I dropped it. I didn't get a good one. Intern, not in the stomach anymore because that hurts. Walsh, all right, we'll do it in the chesticle. All right, in the chest. But this time we're going to go in for the real thing. Intern, wait, just do it in the arm, okay? 1, 2, 3, go. Walsh, hold on. Intern, go. Ow! How bad does it hurt? Describe it, says Walsh. Intern, it's like being muscle tensed. What? Intern reaches for stun gum. Walsh, muscle tensed. I'm not giving you this thing, dude. Intern, was it good for radio? You want to do it in the butt? Walsh, I do, kind of. Let's just try it once in the ass, okay? Turn around, ready? Mer, I don't even know if we can put this on the blog site. Walsh, you've got a pimply pale ass, bro. Intern, go. Ow. All right, we're done. That's it. All right, goodbye. This is part of a series of videos on Walshmer the Intern. Another man called Tater participated in a series of fraternity-style challenges, sometimes involving a sexually suggestive behavior. In another video, Intern A was dressed in a diaper, wrestling a man who gave his taser to Tater. Another video called Intern A Earns His Name, but the titular intern was encouraged to lick the inside of a dumpster. Ew. A further video available to the old YouTube channel for the Matt and Crank show showed the intern washing the car in his underwear while disco music played. According to one report, Walsh announced his departure from the Matt and Crank program just hours after recording the final episode on Monday, August 1st, 2011, claiming that he wouldn't be allowed to do further shows and to say goodbye. The next day, he announced a 2-week hiatus, and then he walked back the day after to let his fans know that he'd be taking a job at WGMD, a smaller station in the region where he would work for less than a year. In December 2013, Walsh announced that he was leaving radio forever to spend more time programming, with his blog. While Walsh spun This Is a Voluntary, critics reported that WALP's programming director had said on the show that it had been cancelled after a period of time. Walsh joining at WGMD reports said Walsh's co-host returned to WZBH through 2015. Anyways, Tons of fucked up shit. Lots of super fucked up shit. Lots of super yikesy stuff. It's basically added to that collection of pool that every single one of these motherfuckers, doesn't matter if it's Matt Walsh, Tucker Carlson, everyone who spends all day calling LGBTQ plus people groomers and pedophiles simply because they're like, I'm trans, or I have said that I'm trans to my students, or hey, I like using they them pronouns, or hey, I'm gay, or hey, I'm completely comfortable putting a rainbow flag in my classroom, and they're just like pedos, groomers, pedos. They all have the yikesiest fucking takes when it comes to actual grooming and pedophilia. Tucker Carlson's case, he's completely fine with young boys being raped by older women because apparently that releases the valve of pressure and prevents them from having sex with their classmates. He's also fine with teachers giving lap dances to young boys in the classroom, something that he calls out for Drag Queen Story Hour all the time. In the case of Matt Walsh, he thinks that the age of fertility is 16, and when women turn between the ages of 17 and 24, it's perfectly normal for them to be impregnated. The problem is not young girls getting impregnated, of course. The problem is that they're not being married, so they should be wed, and then the impregnation of young children is completely fine. Totally normal stuff. Yeah, it seems like all of them have an unbelievable amount of skeletons. And don't forget Matt Walsh defending pedophiles consistently, defending pedophiles when they happen to be priests, defending pedophiles when they happen to be TV hosts who are Christian. Doesn't matter. He is completely on board with pedophilic behavior as long as it is being done by people who are Catholics or Christians, or being done to women or girls who are married. And it's all exceptionally fucked up. I mean, we should add, it's really, really fucked up.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we shall spend many a generations building mighty cathedrals in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your oafish jesters, here to offer you a laugh at any opportunity. To our brave knights of the Round Table, Rachel K., Izzy Solidarity, Victoria Bell, Sebastian Demmel, Mark Harmon, Benji Arney, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Everything Important, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Doug Cady, Daniel Sutton, Jenna Tao, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevbot EXE, Brian Ephraim, Anthropophojack, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Ralph Parler, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Todd Buckingham, and Todd La Jeunesse. We salute our valiant heroes off to fight injustice everywhere.